Posted by you/kidsmenu69. My stay at a haunted hotel in downtown Dallas. Sorry for the very long post. My encounter happened when I was out of town, and while I was on the plane coming back home, I wanted to write down everything that happened while it was fresh in my mind. I have a history of blocking traumatic experiences out and forgetting details, so I really wrote down every little thing. Although I don't think I'll be forgetting this one anytime soon, lol. I stayed at the Magnolia Hotel in downtown Dallas this past Sunday through Thursday. I visit Dallas occasionally for work, and I had actually stayed at Magnolia before, about 3 years ago. Even though the hotel is old and one could say it's creepy by nature, dim lighting, old decor, etc., my last stay was extremely pleasant. I just thought it was a cool historic hotel with big rooms in a great location, which is why I booked it again. This time was not the case. I got in Sunday evening and there was a funky smell in the lobby. It was pungent, kind of like those flowers that smell like vomit. I didn't think anything of it. It's in an extra touristy part of Dallas with tons of bars, and it could have actually been the smell of vomit, who knows. There was one man at the front desk who got me checked in quickly. I had booked a regular room and he said he was upgrading me to a suite since I was staying for 4 nights. I was excited about the upgrade, thanked him, and walked to the elevators to go to my room 2202 on the 22nd floor. The elevators opened and the first notable thing was how hot it was. Dallas is quite warm right now, but the lobby was comfortable and this felt more like the heat was on. Hot, stuffy air. I didn't think anything of it, other than it was weird for them to keep the heat on when it's been almost 90 degrees over there. The floors are pretty big with 2 halls, one to the left and one to the right immediately after you get out of the elevator. Mine was to the left. I passed maybe 6 other rooms and got to mine. I opened the door and I don't know how else to describe it other than it had a really bad vibe. It was dark and dingy and just felt bad in there. Like from the hallway to my room felt like totally different energies. It was weird because I felt kind of scared and fearful but wasn't sure why, like I couldn't control the feeling from my mind or gut or wherever the hell fear comes from. I tried turning more lights on to make it less creepy, but all the fixtures are old, so even with every light on it's still pretty dim. I didn't want to overthink it, so I unpacked and went out to grab some dinner. I came back to the hotel and just went through the same motions. The noticeably bad smell in lobby, the noticeably warm 22nd floor, and the awful feeling that came over me as I walked into my room. I start getting ready for bed, and that's when the weird shit started happening. There's lots of shiny surfaces in the room, like 2 TV screens, glass tabletops, and framed art. Every time I looked towards one of these objects, there would be some kind of unexplained movement in it. I wasn't seeing a specific image or anything, it was more like a reflection/shadow walking past behind me, or a weird shift in the lighting/glare. I would hold still and look behind me to try and understand what was happening, but I couldn't make sense of it. The room was a suite, so it was pretty big. It was laid out long with a small kitchenette when you enter, dining/TV area, bedroom and bathroom. There were 3 or 4 times where I'd be in one area and see something walk by in the room next to me out of the corner of my eye. It was one of the most unsettling feelings I've ever had, but I just kept thinking I had to be imagining things. I'm about to go to bed and I hear a loud noise come from the closet. It was like the sound made when you open a shower curtain really fast and the metal hooks roll against the metal rod. I open the closet and the 5 pieces of clothing I had on hangers are swaying slightly back and forth. I think I'm going fucking crazy at this point. I try to sleep. It's obviously very hard after all that, but I really try, convincing myself that I need to get sleep, so I stop imagining things. At around 1:30 a.m. my body gets so hot. I'm confused because my room doesn't feel hot and my bed still feels comfortable, but my body is very warm. I fall asleep for about 30 minutes and I wake up really startled. I didn't hear or see anything, but it was that feeling you get when someone shakes you while you're sleeping and you wake up abruptly and confused. Then a few seconds later, I feel a tug at the end of my bed towards my feet, like someone is pulling lightly on my sheets. I scream and get up to turn the lights on. I'm just super scared at this point, looking all around the room trying to find something. I consider calling the front desk, but for some reason do not. I just leave the lights on and look at my phone for a while and get a really awful night of sleep. I'd say I slept for about 2 hours on and off. I wake up tired but feeling alright, all things considered. I set the thermostat to 60 and I go to work and go about my day fine, not really even stopping to think about what happened. That night I went to dinner with some coworkers and they asked me how my hotel is. For whatever reason I don't want to tell them what happened. I had this feeling come over me like I wasn't supposed to talk about what happened, at least not at that time. I go back to my room that night and within the first few seconds I'm in there, a shadow walks by again, but this time it's inches next to me to my left. I am freaked the fuck out. And it looked like a tall man. I didn't see a face or person, it was more like an opaque shadow. But I could tell it was a man the same way you can be walking down the street and tell a man, woman or child was next to you without looking at them. I run towards the door but stay in the room. I call my boyfriend and tell him what I saw, and he said I had to be imagining things, but if I was really worried to call the front desk and ask someone to check my room. And hang up and pull up the number to the concierge, but can't bring myself to call it. I had a feeling again come over me telling me not to talk about what was going on and that I should stay. These events ended up happening every single night. It was almost like I was living with a roommate. There was constant movement, someone would walk past me in an adjacent door frame throughout the entire stay. The reflective surfaces would show unexplained activity in them. My body would get boiling hot at around 1:30 a.m. and I'd wake up confused, followed by a tug at my feet. I kind of got used to it. Don't get me wrong, I was absolutely terrified the entire time, but I had this feeling like I had to keep quiet and get through it. The last 2 nights also felt a bit different. I was still scared because of all this wild shit happening, but I didn't feel like I was in any danger. I was scrolling through my texts, and on the last night I had texted my BF, "I'm so tired of these shadows watching me, it's getting old," really casually while I was half asleep. I was so excited to check out this morning. I packed up now, avoiding all reflective surfaces, and went downstairs. I grabbed a coffee and had to pee before I left, but obviously did not want to go back to the room, so I went to the bathroom in the business center. I go to wash my hands, and 2 sinks over the automatic soap dispenses 1 pump, and the water runs for about 30 seconds as recommended by the CDC. As I was leaving, I go linger the front desk for a while, considering telling them what happened to me. I wait for other guests to clear and go up to the one young girl working there. I ask her if anyone ever reported paranormal or unexplained things happening at the hotel. She said no, but that she was new and not sure. Then she asked me what room I was in, and she said, "Oh, that's weird, they told me to never put people in that hall." She then asked me who checked me in, and when I told her, she said she didn't know anyone that fits the description. Again, she said she didn't work there very long. I didn't take it too seriously, and I felt delirious at this point. I was waiting for people to pop out like I was on some kind of prank TV show or something. Once I checked out, I felt more comfortable talking about it. I didn't get into details, but I did tell some coworkers that my hotel was haunted, and immediately their responses were, "Was it the Adolphus? Which is supposedly very haunted, with a history of murders and freaky shit, and it's next door to Magnolia." Apparently Dallas is very haunted, which is news to me, but probably not to many of you reading this. So that's my story. Like I said, the hotel is old and creepy, but I'm positive that something paranormal was with me there. I've never been particularly into this stuff, but I'm the type to be open to the idea of many things, and I just can't believe it happened to me. If anyone has any similar stories about this particular hotel, I would love to hear. I was only able to find one similar account online, but the Google search is overrun with articles from a different Magnolia hotel in Sequin. Posted by you/Witchiros Maria. Just some of the experiences I witnessed when I was living in a haunted homeless shelter. I'm gonna tell 9 short haunted stories that happened when I was living in a shelter for abused women. Yes, before you ask, yes, I fled from domestic violence and I had to live in that extremely haunted building. FYI, English isn't my first language. Sorry, it's all over the place. My first encounter when I was moving to my stuff to a smaller room. Where my bedroom was. It was right next to both of the toilets, the bathroom and shower room. There was a door with a glass window and a corridor to lead you upstairs to rehab people who overcome their addictions. Through the small corridor next to the stairs was an exit door with another glass window. The building was huge. Every time when I saw through the door leading to rehab, there was always something there watching, too. This was probably the first month I was living in the shelter. Nothing major happened during that time, other than I moved rooms to a smaller room. So everyone had gastroenteritis. It wasn't nice. I had stomach pains, vomiting and diarrhea. I felt like shit. So one night, like at 3 a.m. I couldn't sleep. I had a high temperature, chest pains and stomach pains. So I decided to take a hot bath to help me. In the bathroom was a bath, a toilet with a small sink and a cupboard with a boiler in. This is important. 30 minutes in I was relaxed, my chest pains were subsiding and I generally feel relaxed. Then there was a knock at the door. I shouted, "There's another bathroom across the hall." Still relaxing, and 5 minutes later again a knock. I shouted again, "There's a toilet in the shower room." Again 5 minutes later, another knock, and I kept repeating myself. Then another knock 5 minutes in, "Will you fuck off? I'm in the fucking bath, I'm fucking ill. Go away." It went quiet for a long time, I would say around 10 minutes, then knocking. I got up, opened the door, and no one was there. I'm like fucking kids disturbing me when I'm fucking ill. So, 30 minutes went by and I was ready to leave the bathroom. All of a sudden the knocking on the door was so hard I thought the door would come off. Then the boiler door knocked and swung open. I got my shit and left. 3. So there was a little living room upstairs where the bedrooms were. All the girls called it the Dove room. Every time when I go into that room I swear I could hear people talking and TV on, but when I walked in, nothing. Most of the time, that room was pitch black. 4. So all of our rooms had safety guards on the windows and can only be opened so much, and then there's another guard so you can't escape. Next to my room was another room. Everyone said that's the most haunted room in the building. A girl moved in and I became friends with her, not friends now though, but one of the staff asked me if she was in and I'm like no, she left ages ago. Why? Her face went white. Apparently the staff tried to talk to the girl but instead was talking to another girl saying she left then closed it. But that girl was dead, no idea her name, but she committed suicide by jumping out of the window. She left her 6-month-old kid in the room. The next morning they found her dead on the ground. Ever since then, she was haunting that room. 5. There were 2 little girls 4 and 7 that just came in. I think the mother had domestic abuse situation and had to leave. The next few days later I was talking to my BF on call through FaceTime and I heard the girls screaming. No one was coming so I went to the bathroom, opened the door, they were crying in hysterics. They both said a man was holding the door and he wouldn't let them out. Strangely, when they said that, I looked up and where the toilet was, I saw a black figure. I grabbed the girls and took them to their mother. 6. After a few days I kinda forgotten about that black figure in the bathroom. So when I was in the main hall talking to the girls there was a new family, just moved in. On that day, she had 3 children. 2 twins, a boy and a girl. They were like 5 years old and a young boy in his early teens. The little 6-year-old girl said to the other 5-year girl to play a game. She said there's another little girl who lives here, she's ill and can't get out. We sit on the floor and play catch. If you don't catch the ball you have to hop on one leg. The thing is though, there was only 2 little girls living in the refuge before the family arrived and it was their first day. There were only 2 girls before then, not 3. 7. Within the first 6 months being there, I saw girls coming and going. It was normal since it was a shelter. I never ventured out of my room at night since the knock at the bathroom door at 3 a.m. However, I was bursting for the toilet. I went out and saw a black figure saying hello. Seemed pleasant and he looked at me and said, "Enjoying your stay, ma'am?" "I'm your butler," I replied. "Yes, thanks." "Just using the toilet?" He nodded and went through the door. I was weirded out. 8. Another family found a house and moved out. There was only 1 family left in the refuge. One day the twins were screaming so bad the staff had to calm them down. They said in the bathroom there was man scaring them, calling them names and holding them in the bathroom. The little girl crying her eyes out. He was naked and he had red eyes. I thought he was going to eat me. He said he was going to eat me. I don't want to go near that bathroom. After a while, I kinda understood why so many people didn't go to the toilet at night. 9. The last few days of living in the refuge there was only me and 2 other women and a child. It was pretty quiet and we were all talking in the main hall. In the main hall, there was 2 kitchens and our laundry room. Our kitchen was separated, you can only go through the kitchen to get to the laundry room. Both rooms was closed off. There was only one way in and one way out of that laundry room. Me and the girls were talking, laughing and so on. Then we heard footsteps in the kitchen and going into the laundry room. We all got up and checked it out, nothing. We all said, "This place is defiantly haunted." If I think of any more stories, I will post here. Posted by you/redpaper. Northern PA ghost truck. I was just thinking about a very haunted area near where I grew up. I'm often homesick for the mountains and was reminiscing about one of the strangest things I've ever seen. When the old mining cemetery was open and you could drive up, we went there annually at night on Halloween. There's a lot of lore, people seeing full-bodied apparitions and handprints appearing on the windshield if you drive up on a particular foggy night. We took our annual trip up, this was about 2006. I remember it clear as day. My dad's friend was running around with his cigarette shaking branches to try and scare us. I was tough as nails and he wasn't going to frighten me as the rest of the kids ran back to the car. I was standing there looking around at the old headstones and taking in the chilly night air. It was perfectly calm and he walked up behind me, still smoking and carrying on about how he could tell I was my father's daughter. As we were chatting, a white pickup pulled up next to our truck with the cab light on. The cemetery is on a hill and we were only about 100 feet up the hill so I could see clearly into the cab. I couldn't see a driver. I said to my dad's friend, "Hey, who's driving that?" He said, "I don't see anyone in the cab." "Me neither." My dad's friend looked extremely confused. I yelled down to my friend who was outside the truck to look in the window, "How the heck did they pull in?" I could see in the cab the entire time because of the light. She looked in, turned completely pale and jumped in our truck. Both my dad's friend and I ran down the hill and the truck slowly backed out and went back down the path. Cab lights still on. No one visible driving. I jumped in the truck and she was yelling there was no one in there. Either this was the most elaborate redneck prank ever pulled off and someone has hid it for 10 plus years, or I saw a ghost truck. In our area, news travels fast though, and I'm sure if some redneck rigged a self-driving pickup it would have been news for days. Posted by you/SeenThabaforlol. Very uncomfortable feeling of being watched. So I am occupying the bottom floor of my home and I will explain these uncomfortable things I experienced. Also, I don't know if it is because I am about a quarter mile from a cemetery, pretty close but not visible, but this is getting weird. So for some reason when I am trying to sleep, I start hearing noises around the house. I may hear something drop upstairs but my cat is right next to me. Sometimes items like bread or a bottle may fall off a counter randomly and only when the lights are off. On top of that, I constantly feel watched and it gets so uncomfortable that I have to put the covers over my head. It's not like I get ready for bed and I'm saying I feel weird. It's literally me going to sleep and then I feel like something is keeping me awake. There are times when I close my eyes and I see random faces of different ethnicities and they are usually different. But it is so weird as this never happens. Recently, I felt like there were one or two shadowy dark figures like operating on my head. I would get these headaches when I close my eyes, and while my eyes are closing I can make out these two figures that don't look human and they are doing something to my head. This can be speculation, but when I feel that, I put covers over my head and I kinda like toss and turn in my bed thinking I disconnected whatever they plugged up to me and it slowly goes away. When going to the bathroom, I have a weird feeling of not being alone and my cat picks up on this too, and when he looks like he's tracking something it freaks me out. In the attic when we first got the house, we discovered a doll sitting in a corner tucked in good near the ceiling. Not sure if that could be the cause either. I don't even post on Reddit, but this is getting so strange. I haven't seen anything with my eyes, but I 100% feel like something is there. My sister is on the upper level and tells us all the time she thinks it's haunted up on her floor, where the doll was discovered. It got to the point where I told her to stop talking about it. I didn't share my findings because then it would just make me go crazy. There was a time she was talking about ghosts and her LifeX light went out that same second, brand new light popped and went dead. Also to note, in this same area about 100 feet from my house. When I was younger, me and my friends were walking on the train tracks near a cemetery and we noticed a white smoky figure that looks like a person and like changed into some type of animal, kind of like leaning against the tree. We were all like, WTF is that at first, because it's only green vegetation around the train tracks and there are no animals remotely like that. It was when we were getting closer that it changed shapes and we all instinctively ran and started rushing out of the tracks, didn't even say run or anything. I wish I got a good look, but when I describe it as a white smoky human figure that transformed into an animal, I am 100% in what I saw. It looked like it flowed like smoke, but you can make our features like arms or legs as they interact with the ground and trees/bushes. Some things just have no explanation.